Greetings, I'm Zach. Now today I wanted to talk about the fact that I have a bit of a confession to make, and that is the fact that I think the collector's mindset did get the better of me when it came to the Easter Carnage sales on the Arrow Video website. Now, to this regard, I actually ended up getting another bundle of movies from the Arrow Video website at a reduced cost. Now, what I will say is, actually one title on this is, or maybe two titles, kind of are separate from this because they didn't necessarily apply. But I did get them from the Arrow Video website, which is really interesting. But first of all, if I do dive into, head on, head first, like a laser, like a hawk striking from above, into the things I actually caught on the sale, it was just a small little bundle of things that really caught my eye. They were some individual Blu-rays and a box set, but basically they're kind of along the same vibes. I mean, to be fair, two vampire movies and indeed two kind of zombie-esque kind of movies. We have George A. Romero's The Crazies, which I've seen a bit of the remake, wasn't particularly taken with it, but I do know this obviously came out between Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because I know there was the George A. Romero box set that came out from Arrow Video that this was included with Season of the Witch and something to do with vanilla. I think that was the title. And indeed Wreck. So I've got high hopes for The Crazies. I hope it's indeed worth my time. It's definitely one of those ones that I could happily choose off the shelf to kind of... It's got the credentials, shall we say, of being a really, really good movie, despite obviously lacking like the cannibalistic kind of zombies. Then, of course, we go on to Wreck. Now, Wreck, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen this. I watched this, in fact, with Jack, and this may have been the catalyst that really spurred this particular bit of purchasing. Now, this one, I wasn't sure. I've seen the beginning a couple of times, wasn't necessarily sure about the format, the found footage kind of handheld style of filming. However, it got about 10-15 minutes in, and then the whole movie kind of kicked into gear when they're kind of in that apartment building. And it just stayed in fifth gear all the way till the end of the movie. Now, we're talking some next level, very, very violent, zombie stuff going on. Now, what is also very interesting with this is the fact that I was very surprised because for the most part they make it out to be a zombie virus thing that was a contagion to catch. However, there's a flavouring at the end that kind of hints at something a bit more supernatural, which is really, really exciting. Which you don't often see from modern zombie movies. So it's nice to kind of have that difference, that different flavour in here regarding that. Now, having seen this, Jack did kindly lend me the DVD trilogy of Wreck, Wreck 2 and Wreck 3. Now, I know there's a Wreck 4 as well, which is definitely worth my time. I haven't seen anything beyond the first one. And to be fair, I think it's going to be pretty hard to beat. This is definitely some very hard-hitting, kind of fast zombie action, very much akin to the likes of 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, and soon to be 28 Years Later, yes. 2025 is going to be the year we get the third of that particular trilogy from Danny Boyle, which will be really, really fun to watch. So maybe that's kind of a little bit of a thing to reflect upon as well. Interesting. But yeah, what do you think of these two movies, ladies and gents? Do you think they're good additions to the collection? Because I certainly believe that these are two winners. I think Wreck, probably, I think he's held in my mind thus far in higher regard than Crazies, but it's got potential. It's certainly got potential, and I'm certainly looking forward to giving it a shot. Now, the other one that I collected, again, it's been one of those ones where it's been on the cards for a long time, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't come to pass until now. In a really quite cool box set. It's kind of an odd one because it was released as like just a standard edition 2-disc thing, much like Street Fighter trilogy or sister Street Fighter, etc, 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 that you get with Arrow Video. But this one was a limited edition version. It was on the Arrow Video sale, and it's the Count Yorga collection. Now, what's exciting about this is I do love a vampire movie. Perhaps one of these would have been a better choice for our surprise movie night when it came to vampires, as it certainly looks more traditional, but is definitely one that has managed to pass me by over the years. But Count Yorga, pretty cool. It promises a lot. It promises to be like an old world gothic horror kind of vibe, but it's very much set in the new world, but it also has like a flavouring of that old stuff, which is really quite nice. It's also made by the same person who made Scream, Blackula Scream, which is actually quite an interesting one. So yeah, cool, very nice little booklet in there as well, just to add to the collection. Quite a nice artwork as well, very kind of haunting, almost reminiscent of the likes of the artwork for Fright Night and things like that. That's very interesting. I wonder if that's where the Arrow Video artist kind of got that kind of inspiration for. But Count Yorga, I know that can sit happily on my shelf next to the Bloodthirsty trilogy, which is kind of the Japanese take on like a Hammer horror film, which is really exciting as well. Vampire Doll, I actually really enjoyed that, so I definitely think that Lake of Dracula and Evil of Dracula in that regard are also worth your time if you're looking to collect vampire movies. When it comes to Arrow, they did a smashing job, so I dare say regarding those two, I mean, sure, it's got to be worth the time they put into it, right? Anyway, let me know in the comments, were they some good pickups? So then we move on to, this is kind of additional to the sale. First up, this is a movie that I got inspired to get by watching the behind the scenes of Carved the Slit-Mouthed Woman on the J-Horror Rising box set from Arrow Video. And that was Hiroku, if I'm pronouncing that right, the Goblin, which is actually from Third Window Films, which specialises in like Asian cinema and things like that. I actually did browse across the range on the Arrow Video website. It seems to be like a common thing with various distributors that they have like some kind of deal with Third Window Films. Special features wise, there is no comparison to Arrow Video by any means, but the movie itself was a creature feature. The idea of a goblin in this movie is very, very, very different to what we would expect, like, over here, what a goblin is. So, if you're imagining Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, that is, couldn't be further from the truth. This is some freaky stuff. Very much kind of like an Evil Dead kind of Ghostbusters, 2001: A Space Odyssey at points vibe. This really does have quite a lot of different flavours in here, which all do blend together really, really well. So I would definitely recommend this. If you haven't heard of it, definitely pick it up, because it is definitely like a good one, in my opinion. So if you want to check out my review on Letterboxd, definitely do so. But that moves on to the final item of this particular batch. Now, this has a bit of an interesting legacy. This is something that I've been after for a while, and it is indeed something I actually did for our last surprise movie night, so that kind of gives you a bit of an idea what it is. And that is indeed, well, I'll show you. Life Force on 4K. Now, if you've been paying close attention to the previous videos that I've been doing of collecting Arrow Video, etc, 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 then you will notice that I have probably mentioned from time to time the fact that I unfortunately missed out on the Arrow Video 4K release of Life Force. Now, in my divings into trying to find out whether or not they were going to bring out any more, I did send Arrow Video a few messages, and it was a very interesting kind of dialogue developed, and that basically resulted in them saying that they don't know whether or not they're going to release any more, but they can happily help however they can. Now, it didn't really give me any answers to the thing. They've obviously like responded to the fact that I inquired about it, but they couldn't give any definitive answers whether or not they were going to release anything. It certainly didn't sound promising, but against the odds, and to be fair, I stumbled across this quite independently from the messaging I had with Arrow Video, and it very much coincided with this Arrow Video sale. However, it was obviously not part of it. £22 for Life Force on 4K, which I can do an unboxing on if you'd like. But the main feature, especially with this, was the fact that it includes the international cut, which is indeed a good deal longer, like 15 minutes longer than the theatrical, which is really, really exciting. As I've never seen that before, and I did watch, obviously, Life Force for the first time in a while, and oh my god, that looked absolutely fantastic in 4K. I cannot deny. From what I'd seen of it before, honestly, I cannot say that I was overly taken with it, but having watched it in 4K, that was a smashing kind of space vampire movie. I really did enjoy it. Obviously, it was done by Tobe Hooper, who obviously did Texas Chainsaw Massacre and things. It really did kind of hit on like a different level to other vampire movies, I think. It was very different, very unique in the way it kind of presented, like, being a vampire. Was very, like, sci-fi as well, which was quite cool. Really, really cool. So, of this particular video, to just kind of round things off now, that was obviously the last of my purchases from the Arrow Video sale for the Easter, like, carnage thing they had going on. Am I happy with all the titles I got, especially with the likes of that lot up there from the previous video? Yes, I am. I feel as if I was tempted. I've been tempted on several occasions to dive in yet again. I think as a collector, I need to pace myself. I need to actually look. I need to sit down and watch all of these movies that I keep collecting. Now, I do my best, but I haven't got, like, all the time in the world, so I've got to be a tiny bit selective, but I do intend to watch everything that I have in one way or another. So, to kind of round this off, almost like as a self-reflection kind of vibe of this, I'm going to look at my Letterboxd account and see, of my Arrow Video list of movies, what percentage of the movies that I've actually watched. It's going to be an interesting one. So, of Arrow Video, so this is including Blu-rays, 4Ks, DVDs even, I've got 272 titles. Okay, fair amount, it's not a competition or anything, but of that amount, how many have I seen? It's actually more than I expected, to be fair. I say that, but it's 37%, so almost like 40% of them. Compared to the amount of movies I've got overall, I think I'm closer towards the 60%. I've watched 60% of my entire physical media collection, which is good, but there's certainly room for improvement to kind of push to get more watched, I think. Maybe I could do some reviews on that, bits and pieces. We'll see. But in the meantime, all of those things will be available to be reviewed on my Letterboxd account. So if you want to kind of dive into that side of things, links in the comments. Knock yourself out. I've done plenty of reviews on there. But overall, with this particular like snapshot of like my new stuff for Arrow Video, I think, sure, I made the most of the sale, but I was honestly really impressed with Life Force. I was honestly really impressed with the 4K aspect of this. It really did enthuse me to seek out the new 4K stuff that Arrow's got coming out, and essentially, yeah, I cannot complain. I finally got the thing I was after from Arrow Video, and at a good price, so I cannot deny. Well done me. And thank you very much, Arrow Video. So, all in all, if you enjoyed this video, if you want to see any unboxings of anything I've brought up in this video or in any other videos, or if something you've seen in the background maybe, or you'd like to see maybe a comparison of different releases, I've got various other different bits and pieces that I want to kind of show you guys. I know that a big thing when it comes to collecting is also like the double dipping scenario. Has there been instances where I've double dipped? Fun fact, yes I have. Or maybe, is it a quad dip? Maybe even more. We'll find out regarding that particular one. I'll leave that for a future video. But it's very, very interesting stuff to discuss on that matter. Very, very interesting. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe to this video. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.